Hey everyone, welcome to my very first YouTube vlog. My name is Louis, I'm the artist and storyteller behind Whimsy Tales. Today I would like to take you through a bit of my creative journey, where my whimsical art style comes from, why I started making coloring books, and how my latest series Whimsical Fable Critters came to be. When people ask me how long I've been drawing, I usually say, since forever, because it really does feel like it's been part of me for as long as I can remember. I grew up in Indonesia, and as a kid, I'd spent hours and hours doodling my favorite characters. Back then, I was completely mesmerized by comics and cartoons. The European classics like The Smurfs by Peyo, Disney comics by Karl Barks and Don Rosa, and of course, Dragon Ball by Akira Toriyama Sensei. Oh, and also Calvin and Hobbes by Bill Watterson. If I had to describe my style, I would say it's whimsical. I love creating characters and creatures that feel like they belong in a storybook. Sometimes a little bit silly, sometimes cozy, but always a little bit magical. It's funny because I've experimented with so many styles over the years, but I always find myself coming back to this playful, lighthearted vibe. I also think it's because I want my art to make people feel good, to make them smile. I don't want to draw anything that feels heavy or gloomy. There's enough of that in the world already. I want my art to be a little slice of joy, a place people can escape to, even if it's just for a moment. I've always loved experimenting with different styles. I don't have one fixed art style because I love exploring new ways to express the story. I think that's what makes me a versatile artist, and honestly, it's probably why I got hired to work with so many different clients over the years. Exploring different art styles keeps things exciting for me. It's like giving each character its own voice. But one thing is always true for me. No matter the style, it's got to have that playful, whimsical energy. The characters, the setting, they all have to be expressive. And the style has got to feel like it's inviting you into a little world of its own. So, why did I start making coloring books? Well, honestly, it was a little bit of an accident. I had literally thousands of illustrations just sitting there, gathering digital dust. I love creating characters just for fun. But what do you do with all these drawings? That's when I thought, Why not turn them into something people could engage with? That's how coloring books came into the picture. My very first coloring book was based on some of my old Inktober pieces. I reworked them, added more patterns and details, and released it. It didn't quite capture the lighthearted feel I was aiming for, but it was a great learning experience. I later learned that people really enjoy coloring cute and simpler pages with adorable creatures. That's when it clicked. I'll just do that because that feels more me. So far, I've created and published 7 whimsical coloring books, 4 of which are part of Whimsical Fable Critters series, which I enjoy creating the most. The Whimsical Fable Critters series was inspired by an old children's book series I loved growing up called The Woodland Folks by Tony Wolfe. It was this charming series featuring a world where each character had its own personality, and the scenes were filled with tiny stories. I wanted to create a series that felt like that, cozy, magical, and filled with characters you'd want to spend time with. I started with just a few rough ideas of the characters, and then I tried to come up with animals that are cute and adorable. And before I knew it, I had built a whole little village of critters. Each page in this series is a tiny story, a snapshot of their whimsical lives. This very first book, Out and About, is all about little critters living in a whimsical little village, doing just everyday things, like picnic with friends, hanging out with them, cooking and baking, playing games on a computer, cycling with friends, and all those good things. Most of these books I've published and showcased here are available on Amazon. You can also purchase digital or downloadable versions through my website. I'll provide all the links below. For those of you interested in trying out my coloring pages, I offer free downloadable and printable options on my website. Additionally, I set out exclusive free coloring pages each month to my Whimsy coloring email subscribers. If you'd like to join our whimsical coloring family, feel free to sign up through the link I provided below. Alright, now I'd like to invite you to join me in coloring one of the pages from the book. I've chosen the Ramen scene, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy as I think out loud while coloring. For this one, I'm using alcohol markers, and I've picked out a color palette with 8 dominant colors to bring into this nighttime scene to life. I always like to start with the lightest color, so here I'm laying down a base of yellow. If you've worked with alcohol markers before, you will know starting light is key. It helps minimize mistakes, and you can easily layer darker shades on top. After the yellow, I moved on to orange to warm things up a bit. You'll notice here that the yellow and orange are the main colors of the light source on the scene. Then I start bringing in the blue, which is going to be the main color for this page since I'm imagining the scene taking place at night. Blue just feels perfect for capturing that nighttime vibe and matches perfectly with the yellow and orange light effects that I'm trying to apply on the scene. As I work through this, you'll notice that I keep things simple at first, just using yellow, orange, and blue as my main color. Once I've got the base layers down, I start adding depth by introducing darker tones of blue. This is where I start thinking about the shading, where the shadows would fall, and how the scene would look under soft, moonlit tones. I'll have to admit, I don't always stay inside the lines when I color. That's just my expressive side kicking in. I like to let the colors go a little wild. I like how coloring outside the lines can lead to more happy mistakes. For me, that's always part of the fun in doing any art. You know, as a coloring book artist, seeing people bring my pages to life has been the most rewarding part of this journey. Everyone adds their unique touch and creativity. Sometimes I come across color palettes and patterns that make me think, wow, I never would have imagined that. After I've built up the blues, I add in some purple and reddish purple for accents. I think it gives the scene more depth and makes the characters pop up a little more against the background. Then I go back with an even deeper shade of blue to push those shadows further. By now, the scene is really starting to come together. It's starting to feel a bit more three-dimensional, and the colors are balancing out nicely. Next up is the background. I'm going with the deep purplish blue for the sky and ground. I'm going for a sticker-like outlining technique because I really don't want to color block everything on this page because it's gonna be a waste of marker color. I like to use a bit of blending here to soften everything and make it flow better. Now, on to one of my favorite parts, colored pencils. I love using colored pencils over marker base because it gives me a chance to add more shading and lighting effects. And it's also great for fixing any little mistakes. If you've ever had streaks or blotches with markers, colored pencils are perfect to smooth that out. I go in with some darker shades and highlights to make the scene really pop. So yeah, here's where I start adding those final details. More yellow, a bit more orange depending on the light source. Colored pencils give me a lot of control for the finishing touches. And that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for following along, and please enjoy the rest of this time-lapse video. Creating Whimsy Tales has been a way for me to rediscover that joy I felt as a kid. Sketching, imagining, and bringing to life characters that make people smile. This journey has been full of happy surprises, lessons, and a lot of happy mistakes along the way. But that's the beauty of it. Each step has led me closer to building this whimsical world I get to share with you all. I hope you've enjoyed this little peek into my world and what drives me to keep creating. If you're curious to see where this journey goes next, I'd love for you to join me. So please like, follow, and hit subscribe if you want to see more whimsical content, new characters, new adventures, and plenty more coloring pages. Because really, at the heart of it all, that's what Whimsy Tales is about. Finding the fun and the whimsy in the simplest things and sharing that sense of joy with others. So thank you so much for being here. Keep coloring outside the lines, and I'll see you next time.